Welcome back to the Phaithful Phanatics Show. We are live here on a Wednesday morning on the DSM Philadelphia YouTube channel. Guys, if you are new to the channel, if you're joining us this morning, if you want to be interactive throughout today's show, make sure to support by smashing the subscribe button. It is the best spot to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up here on the screen with your host. I'm one half of them this morning, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. Joel Embiid continues to set and break 76er franchise records as he goes for 70 against Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs on Monday night, setting the new Sixers franchise record, breaking Wilt Chamberlain's old record of 68 points in a game. Yes, Wilt did 100 when he was with the Warriors, not with the 76ers. New record there for Joel Embiid. I believe he's up to averaging over 36 per game, Scotty. This dude is unbelievable. We're obviously going to talk about what he was able to do the other night in that historic performance, what it means. And for all the fans out there, I just want to get this off my chest real quick. I tweeted it out. I know you've probably talked about it yesterday with Phil on Trending in the AM, man. Like, if you are one of those people that are either anti-Embiid or wait and see with the Sixers, let me talk to me when we get past the second round, yada, yada. Man, that is the silliest effing argument or statement you could make to me today. Like, he's making history.
Yeah.
Not just the other night. This entire season is almost an historic run so far. Just enjoy it. Just sit back and witness greatness as the best player to ever wear a 76ers uniform went for 70 points the other night. He's on a list that only Michael Jeffrey Jordan is on. He's on lists that Wilt Chamberlain is not on. Just sit back, enjoy the ride, and we can talk about the postseason when we get there. But what Joel Embiid is doing right now, Scotty, and what he did on Monday night is some of the greatest stuff I've ever seen on a basketball floor.
Yeah, no, it was definitely probably my favorite performance of all time. Outside of like postseason stuff, any type of playoffs, obviously AI had some games in the postseason where he dropped like 51 against the Lakers or something. Like obviously there's stuff like that will get raised over it just from the severity of the game. But when it comes to just like watching the game and enjoying the game of basketball, this is definitely one of the best games I've ever watched from an individual player. And it's really the efficiency that he does it with. Like TR said, the flow, going with the flow of the game, not forcing anything. I mean, he's an effortless scorer. And, when you start to really look at him, it's just like whenever he feels like it. Like when he feels like it, he can drop 70 on you. Like that's what it looked like to me on that night. It was like, okay, Wembanyama, welcome to Philly. We're going to get you
to the league, young
here.
fella.
We're going to christen you. You're going to get this 70 dropped on your head. You want to drop 33? Well, we're going to double you up and drop 70 on your head, man. But this isn't it, right? Like he's dropped 60 earlier this season. He's dropped 50 or 59, excuse me. 50. So, I mean, he scores effortlessly. He's averaging 36 points per game. This is pure greatness that we're seeing. And it once again just reignites the point that we got to get this man to the playoffs healthy. If we get him to the playoffs healthy, I don't know, man. If we can get him to the playoffs healthy, I think we have a really, really good shot at winning everything, honestly. Like he's the most unstoppable offensive force in the NBA right now, in the world. And you have to move mountains to try to stop him. And that's the biggest thing for me. He's a 7-footer that is not just dominating the paint. He's dominating the mid-range. He shoots the mid-range effortlessly. It's like a layup for him. And when you're 7'2", you're 7'2". Like it is a layup. Like if you can hit it at that consistent rate with that efficiency, it's a layup at that point because nobody's blocking that shot. Like, you know what I mean? So
Scotty,
his game.
I believe it was one turnover, TR. I believe he had just one turnover the other night, which is still ridiculous.
You have the contrast on the other side the same night that makes Embiid's look even better because Cat went out there and dropped 62
and
but
lost.
it's in a loss.
Right.
Like, so that's not a good look. That's not in the flow of the
Right.
game, right?
And I think the head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves let everybody, including Karl Anthony Towns and the rest of the team, know that that was not the kind of basketball they wanted to play.
Yeah.
And it's funny, right? Because I know later on in the fourth quarter when he was above 60 going for Wilt's record and Daniel House chucked a three from the corner and I jumped off my couch like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Crowds booing
Read the
him.
room, dude.
In reality, if it wasn't the San Antonio Spurs, if it was a little bit closer of a game at that point, I believe it was like 14 points,
Yeah.
you want that shit. You can't just solely focus on getting Joel Embiid the ball, even though it continued to work. There was no stopping it that night. But regardless, yeah, there is a way to go about it. And I think the Sixers did just that the other night. He is Now, I believe he's the greatest player on the planet. I said this to you after the Denver game, and I think it was only reiterated last night on a higher level. I'm not even really sure how close it is at the moment. But he's also the greatest scorer in the game right now. He is the best scorer in the NBA right now. It's not Kevin Durant. It's not LeBron James. It's not James Harden anymore. It's not, it's not Luka Doncic. It's not Jason Tatum. It is Joel Embiid. You talked about the effortlessness in his game. Scotty, he dropped 70 with 1 3-pointer made the other night. 1 for 2. That's all he took the other night. And yeah, Wemby, 7 foot, whatever, but he's fragile and they don't have much size beyond him. So Embiid was able to get dunks and offensive rebounds and tip-ins and putbacks at the rim. But it's that mid-range, man. It's who he kind of mocks his game after, right? When you see the clips of Kobe and Olajuwon and Durant and all these similarities in his fadeaways and his pull-ups off the dribble. Scotty, I'm not sure that any of them shot an elbow jumper or the mid-range as well as the 7-footer does. And I mean that honestly. It is consistent. And it was the funniest thing in the world. I saw, I guess he was a Spurs fan on TikTok. This clip went viral of him kind of analyzing the game on Wembanyama's defense on Embiid. And he is losing his mind. And he's just like, it's elbow jumper after elbow jumper after elbow jumper. And it's the truth. But it's against anybody and everybody can get it, man. It's against Jokic. It's against Wemby. It's against the Hornets. It's against the Bucks. It doesn't matter who he's going up against this year. And I think that's what's getting lost in all of this. You have the trolls. You have the doubters or the haters out there that continue to move goalposts. Right. And first it's who he did it against. He did it against the Spurs. Then it's, well, look at how many free throws he shot. As if Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell didn't shoot more free throws in their 70 and 71 point performances. Now it's, well, he's got to do it in the postseason. Where's he always disappear to in the playoffs? Stop moving the goalpost. Enjoy the greatness and the history that you're witnessing live, either as a Sixers fan or just a pure basketball fan. Just sit back and enjoy it, man. That's the only thing I can say. Stop taking it for granted. Honestly, we sit here and we think back on all-time greats. Obviously, Wilt Chamberlain's records are all across the board as a 76er. Allen Iverson, Charles Barkley, Dr. J, Moses Miller. No, this dude is the most talented 76er to ever sport the uni, and he hasn't even been past the second round. Think about what happens if he does, like you said, that excitement that I saw, it started to get out of you a little bit. I saw it. I saw it yesterday when you were on with Phil. I saw it now that if you get this dude in the postseason, boy, you got a shot.
Yeah.
Boy, you have a chance.
You do, man. You do. And he even has a chance, man, where if he can get to the postseason and just get to the pinnacle, man, he can just surpass so many people in my eyes. I know I'm biased. I know at the end of the day, if he wins a championship and I say I'm taking Embiid over Giannis, I know that sounds biased, but I would truly mean it. If he can win the NBA championship. Obviously, if they win, he would get the Finals MVP. He's the most dominant player in the planet, let alone the team. So when I look at it that way, man, even Jokic. I mean, obviously Jokic has multiple MVPs. He's got the Finals MVP, but Joel is getting into these conversations with just getting there and just winning in the postseason. That's the last like piece of this puzzle. But to your point, I think it's just important to stay in the moment. Obviously, as Sixers fans, I think we have no problem doing that at this point. But
Most don't.
it's really the
Most don't.
outside that it really is just it has been really annoying about it. But when you look at Embiid this month, man, the month of January to start the new year,
Yeah, averaging over 40.
yeah, he is actually. 70 points last game, obviously. 33, 36, 41, 41, 30, 31. Then you go back to the last month. 31, 51, 40, 42, 35, 41, 34, 38, 50. Average 40 points in the month of December as well. So, yeah, 40.2 points in the month of December, 40.3 points in the month of January, 32.2 in the month of November. So, I mean, come on. And then you even go to the rebounding, man, where that's one place where I've really criticized him in the past, just like the effort of going after boards and dominating in that facet. In the last 2 months, he's had 2 games where he's had under 10 rebounds, and it was actually those 2 recent ones where he got 7 rebounds in back-to-back games. Aside from that, 18, 10, 10, 10, 15, 10, 12, 14, 15, 13, 11, 11, 14, 13. He's doing it in the rebounding column. Then you go to assists. 5, 5, 2, 10, 3, 3, 10, 9, 3, 6, 3, 2, 5, 6, 3, 7 in the last 2 months. He's doing everything, and we don't even have. Not going to sit here and read numbers like a computer all day,
Correct.
but we can go to the defensive side of the ball, and I'm sure we can show the impact there, man. This guy is really unbelievable. I think it's important that we do give him his flowers and make sure that he has everything he needs. And yes, where the excitement comes in, especially yesterday on that show, and we can talk about it now, but when you see a performance like this, when you see everything clicking like this, when you see teammates that get it, when you see a coach like Nick Nurse leading the way, it's now time to go. It's now time to go after and get every single piece that you can to help contribute towards a championship this season, right? And that's the big thing for me now. It's an eye. If your eyes weren't open yet, that's the eye opener. Like we are here. We are here in this era of greatness. It's time to go. And you need to do, Daryl Morey, you need to do what you need to do to get this team where it needs to be and get it ready for the postseason, man. Yeah. But I would even ask you, I told Phil this yesterday, I think, I think they will make moves before the trade deadline passes. But even with this team right now, if Joel Embiid is healthy, give them the right path, give them the right situation in the postseason, they can still get where they need to in the postseason. I truly believe it, man. I think they have guys in the house that can help him get there. I do.
I do as well, man. I mean, you're a win off of 30 right now, right? I believe they're half a game out of second place behind Milwaukee. You're sitting at 29 and 13 on the season. When you watch the ascension of Tyrese Maxey continue, you watch a more consistent Tobias Harris. I know he still had his moments, but there's been, I feel like there has been a lot more ups than downs this year from Tobias Harris.
If that's the guy you want to hold out on to the postseason, fair. Not Embiid, though. I just, like, we don't need to have that combo about Embiid. If you want to wait out and see it with Tobias Harris, because we've seen this before, then fine. But I do agree. It just looks like he has a different level of aggressiveness.
Yeah. No, I feel you. And you mentioned, Nick Nurse and this team being there now. Man, he was special last year, and obviously the MVP backs. He's been special for a while. This is another gear. This is another level. And I see Brett's comments and TR's comments earlier about the passing. And that takes his game to a whole nother level, specifically come postseason time in a matchup against the Boston Celtics or the Miami Heat or the Milwaukee Bucks, where those, other shot making abilities and getting the ball out of double and triple teams and creating for your teammates is going to play a huge role. But the shooting numbers are ridiculous, man. Like I know it was there last year. it just feels like another level again this year. And I saw Brett's one comment about the T-Wolves and the Spurs, and then he drops 41 against Jokic and Denver. Like, it doesn't matter who it's coming against. It can be the best defense in the league. It can be a middle of the pack defense. It can be the worst defense.
Yeah.
He's not altering his game whatsoever, and you're seeing the consistent dominant performances night in and night out. I think I brought this up to you before, but I know I definitely was talking to my sister about it. Man, I saw something last week. A guy was putting his a parlay together in the NBA on TikTok, right? And to get it to plus 100, he was doing alt points. And he said Kevin Durant 20 plus points. And he was giving a little background. He said Kevin Durant has hit this number in 7 of his last 8 games. And I sat there for a second. I went, so in one of the last 8 games, Kevin Durant scored under 20 points. You can't fathom. Do you understand? You cannot fathom the idea of Joel Embiid scoring less than 20 points. Yeah. We can't understand it if he scores less than 30 right now.
Yeah.
That's the level that this dude has reached now, where, dude, averaging 36 is all out of this world. It's not of this planet.
Do you remember the capper that put out? It was maybe a month ago.
His under.
The under in points, rebounds.
It was the T-Wolves game, I think. It was because it was against Minnesota. That's why he did it.
And it was just man, I mean, you are brave playing an Embiid under. Dude, I don't know what to tell you. I agree, man. From a betting perspective, I've been laying Embiid 30 points, 10 rebounds, Tyrese Maxey 3 threes, on a consistent basis for Sixers games for a while, over the last month.
Right. It's just like a lock, it feels like at this point. Now, obviously, when he doesn't get the rebounds 2 of the last couple of games, you're sitting there God damn.
Yeah, it's feels abnormal, but you can't even blame him because look at the rest of the last 2 months. But I completely agree with you, man. It is crazy just to look at what he does compared to the rest of the league and what other people get commended. I saw Kawhi Leonard. There was a stretch in December where he was getting hella praise for averaging 25 points per game over a 10-game stretch. Kawhi's back. Kawhi's a great player. I'm not shitting on Kawhi, man. Obviously not. But 25 points, I mean, that's not moving the needle in the Embiid era.
On Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett's podcast, I just saw a clip yesterday or so of Paul Pierce's MVP candidate if it was to end today. And he said Shea. Just stop trying to be cute with it. Stop trying to give the outsider answer. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander is having a ridiculous season. The Oklahoma City Thunder are so much fun. I actually believe they're the current number 1 seed with the win against Portland now. He's averaging a little over 31 per game, 5.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists, 55% shooting from the floor, 1 seed in the Western Conference.
Stop be the MVP, though.
That's what I'm saying, bro. Stop trying to give the cute answer, the different answer. Scotty, I will say this one, and again,
they average the same amount of assists. Shai is a point guard.
Right. The thing I will say is this, okay? The MVP does not matter. It doesn't matter to Joel Embiid. It doesn't matter to us anymore. However, if he plays within the threshold of games that need to be played, let me tell you something. Not only is he going to win the MVP, it's going to be one of the largest disparities in years.
It should be.
I think you're seeing it on the polls right now. The recent, they come out with the polls every week or so with updated MVP. You're seeing how many first place votes he's getting.
It should be one of those unanimous votes. If you had to vote on it right now, but that's what I mean. You hear Paul Pierce say something like that, and it's just what? Based on what? Based on what? Because he hasn't won it before? Right. That's the stipulation. What is it based on? It has no merit. There's really nobody that you can argue right now over Embiid. I mean, Luka, you can argue the numbers, but you can't argue where the team sits right now in the Western Conference, right? With Shea, it's like, sure, his team is number 1 in the West. We're number 3 in the East, behind the Bucks and the Celtics, who also have 2 of the best records in the NBA.
Right, and then there's this point by TR. Like, yeah, like those things matter, man.
Yeah, it does.
Like when it comes down, if he's in the race, if he plays the games, and it's him and Jokic 1 and 2, that game in Philly matters. Now, yeah, sure, whether he's going to play in Denver or not, if they win that game or not, that's TBD still. But so far, like that 41-point performance in a win matters when it comes to shit like this, when it seems to be pretty close.
Bro,
You got dudes around the league like Kevin Durant reacting like he's cannot believe or fathom what Joel Embiid is doing.
And honestly, bro, Kevin Durant, what the fuck, bro? Like, why not just play with Embiid in Philly? Why did you go to Phoenix? Like, you obviously love Embiid.
Yeah.
He owns part of the Philadelphia Union. Like, why did you not come to Philadelphia? Why is he not a Sixer? Like, it makes zero sense, bro.
I don't know.
Like, I get it, like Brooklyn
last time he scored 20
but
was in March of last year. He left at halftime because of an injury.
Yeah.
Halftime.
And I do remember it because it was a rare occurrence. I'm just looking at these numbers further with Shea, and it's actually just fun. It's like, it's humorous to think like that you would put him as MVP over Embiid. Like, Embiid is doing everything better. I mean,
it's a very, very bad take.
The field goal percentages are literally the same. The 3-point percentage, Embiid shoots the 3 ball better. Free throw percentage, the same. Rebounds, obviously, Embiid rebounds more. They both average 6 assists. They both have Embiid averages 1 steal, Shea averages 2 steals. Embiid averages 2 blocks, Shea averages 1 block. Like, it's just
right.
It shows where dialogue is at within the NBA, right, is what I'm trying to point out, because there's no merit to that conversation. It's not the conversation.
Correct. So, and that's the thing. Like, again, I saw the one comment. Don't ever say this again. Don't ever make this comment again. When the other dude has an MVP or is the best quarterback in the league, you could talk about that, but it'll be a cold day in hell.
We can call the Sixers the Cowboys, but we could not.
For now, yeah. That early exits, underperforming in the playoffs, yeah. But in terms of that dude and the other one, no, let's not make that comparison. But yeah, like, just I know, again, like we said, I don't even know why I'm going down this rabbit hole of MVP talks and conversation, because I don't even know if he's going to play in the number of games to be eligible. Obviously, his focus is on the postseason, and it should be. But it is like, I just don't get some of these former NBA players, former future Hall of Fame NBA players that have these podcasts and go on other circles and other podcasts and just say some, like, I don't know, man. It's like they just want to give flowers to dudes.
Yeah.
For having a great season. And like, that's great. Give him his flowers. He's a top 3, a top 5 MVP candidate. But what do you want to say? I saw the one comment from Martian Lynch, I think. If he didn't exist, well, he does exist. Okay. So there is no conversation to be had. Like, the Celtics are the number 1 seed in the NBA. They have the best record. Is Jason Tatum the MVP? No, he's not.
It's not even close. He's having one of his down seasons, in my opinion. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, just like hearing it from like Paul Pierce, and like, mind you, it's Paul Pierce has a more, credible opinion than mine from a basketball perspective, obviously. But like, you're talking about a guy that like you can't really touch. You know what I mean? Like, and at the end of the day, he's not touching Embiid. And this is what I'm curious to go back and check just throughout history of the NBA. Like, Kevin Durant, has he ever averaged 36 points per game? No, he hasn't. The most Kevin Durant has ever averaged in his career was 32 points per game. Now, the season isn't over, obviously.
I have a question. Who has averaged 36? Like, I'm sure Wilt did, right? But besides Wilt, who's averaged 36 over the course of an 82-game season?
Wilt? I mean, who else could be in that combo?
I don't think
Michael Jordan?
Like, I don't think he ever. Dude, 36. Hold on.
Bron has the most he's ever averaged was 31.
Yeah. Michael.
I was curious.
Michael. 32.6, 33.6. Michael, all right, so he did in the 86-87 season, Michael Jordan averaged 37.1.
37.
Yeah. Yeah. And he averaged 35 the following year.
So we had to go back to 1987.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah,
I do see that here. Played all 82 games. Yeah, that dude was a machine. But
and he only shot 18% from the 3-point line.
Interesting.
That's crazy.
So he's in territory with Wilt and Michael Jordan
Harden,
and Kobe.
MJ, Wilt. That's it. Interesting.
Damn, Harden's averaged 36. That's it.
Yeah, we do. I was actually having this conversation.
Monster seasons.
Yeah, I was actually having this conversation the other day. Like, because of the stunts he's pulled in 4 teams in like 3 years, and everything with Philly and not being what he was before, it kind of taints how amazing James Harden was just a few years ago.
Yeah.
The type of scorer he was, like,
you forget.
Yeah, you do.
You
pretty
forget.
Quickly. Yeah.
He did. He averaged 36 in 2018-19.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, man. I saw your comment. I appreciate you being commenting along here with us, man. But it doesn't matter. Okay. Well, can I just say that? I don't care. I don't know who they would play in the first round of Phanatics today. It doesn't matter. It could be the Knicks. It could be the Heat. It doesn't matter. They're getting past the first round.
Yeah, it would be.
There's one team I can sit here and say, don't know. It's the Boston Celtics. If the Sixers play the Milwaukee Bucks, I will tell you they will get past the Milwaukee Bucks. That's how confident I am in this current team. Not whatever Daryl Morey does at the trade deadline, adds this piece, adds that piece. In this current form, I believe the only team that is better than the 76ers is the Boston Celtics. That's it. And on paper, they're not nearly as deep as the 76ers. So we could see when it gets time for that too. But yeah, I don't care. I don't care if it's Terry Rozier and his new Heat team. I don't care if it's OG Anunoby and his new New York Knicks team. This team is not all of a sudden going to lose in the first round. Like, second round, we can have a first round. All of a sudden, they've never lost in the first round since the bubble, outside of the bubble in the Joel Embiid era. And in his greatest season ever, they're going to lose in the first round. It's not happening.
No, I do. I tend to agree. I would just say my feeling once again on this team right now, I think you would have to get the perfect path to get where you want to get to, though. I think they could beat anybody, but it's the path I would worry about with this team. I do think they need to add something.
Yeah, I think perfect's a little far, only because, like, to me, perfect would mean like you're playing the worst of the remaining teams each round. To me, I think the best path would just be not getting like the blank Celtics Bucks or like avoiding both of them is the key, right? Like not
the Pacers would be great first round compared to like the Heat, dog. Like, because the Heat, I don't know, that culture and shit. Right. I would just rather get them in the second
playing
round
playing Spoelstra, then the Bucks, then the Celtics. That's wild. The most difficult road you could ever imagine. So I get what you're saying, but I think perfect would just be only seeing one of them until the ECF.
And that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. And I think just something as simple as a guy like Brogdon gets you to the point where it doesn't matter. Like, I truly believe that. I think they need another ball handler, whether it's a backup or a starter to upgrade D-Melt, right? D-Melt, Oubre, whoever you would take out of the starting lineup, whatever. I think that's the piece that's missing. I think you upgrade that piece, whether that's moving D-Melt or keeping him and putting him on the bench.
Yeah.
That's how you get to the point where your path does not matter if Embiid is healthy, period.
How crazy is it that we've gotten to a point now with how much fun this team has been? Not just Joel Embiid, everybody around him, right? The entire organization right now. How crazy is it that I'm this amped for a role player to join this team?
Yeah.
Like like if the Sixers would have been the team to trade for Terry Rozier yesterday at that price, I would have been like, oh my God, Terry Rozier's on this bench now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like and other pieces like Malcolm Brogdon, like we talked about a Tyus Jones, like a Bogdan Bogdanovic would probably have me even more excited. So that's the type of position this team has us in late January right now, where I'm this bought in. Like, again, I said it to begin the show. If you're not there, if you're one of those people that wants to wait and see till the second round, that's your right, obviously. But I would hope you just can enjoy what you're getting right now from him and from the rest of this team. Yeah, this is the one thing that can't happen. This is the one thing that cannot happen. Now, I think he's in a very similar position. I said this to Scotty a couple weeks ago. I think he's in a position to have a deadline like this for a better player that's going to impact the Sixers. If that makes
like
sense.
the comment earlier from you a fraud, the Kyle Lowry comment. That's what I don't need to see. Like I if he's like an extra piece that you buy off the buyout market, right, or whatever, he's like a consolation piece after you already made a trade. Fine, I'm okay with adding Kyle Lowry to the roster, but that can't be your big deadline move.
Exactly,
like, that can't be it.
Like my point is, like at that point in time, George Hill was the role player move, right, and that was it. If Malcolm Brogdon's the role player move, it's a similar trade deadline. Because you were looking for one specific role player, but it's someone that's actually going to help impact winning, unlike what George Hill did here.
Exactly. George Hill, we found out the hard way that he didn't have anything left in the tank, but I think Brogdon,
I don't know
all the guys you mentioned
here with the way he left, and then
it'd all be benefits, man.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. But hold on. I don't know why I'm all like sniffly or whatever the hell's going on over here.
It's that time of year, man.
But yeah, we're only 31 minutes in, guys. Send us your questions, your comments, wherever you want us to kind of take this show. This is a Joel Embiid celebratory, historic type of morning show over here this morning, man. But I don't have much more to say about his 70-point night. I mean, it was just, you'll always remember where you were, I guess. Like it was that kind of night, but I would have loved to have been there.
Yeah, tickets were only $30 to get in the door. So if you took advantage of that, definitely.
So I got a question about this whole situation as well for you guys. So obviously Adrian Griffin's gone. And then like TNT, like Stan Van Gundy or whatever announced CNN announced that he's hot, but I haven't seen it from anybody else.
Yeah.
So as of right now, I don't believe that Doc Rivers is the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks at this point in time.
Well, but that's the same way, honestly, not to like change the conversation at all, but like that's the same way I feel about like the Brian Johnson thing. Like I did not see any official
only Derek Gunn said they are planning to move on from him.
Like I didn't see like Diana Rossini or anybody like that, right? Like Mike Garofalo or whatever. I didn't see any of these guys.
Yeah.
Ian Rappaport report that Brian Johnson was canned either. So it's like
now,
I don't know. A lot of fake news.
Derek Gunn is more plugged into the Eagles than CNN is to the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
But yes, so then I saw like the post that like an Eagles page put up on Instagram that was like Brian Johnson and it was fired. And I'm like, I don't think that's the official case yet. Like I think he's gone. I think he's going to be gone or is moving on, but I don't think the Eagles have fired him officially. Right? So I don't think that Doc Rivers was fired officially.
How does if this is true, whatever, because obviously there's talks around it. Like obviously he's in some type of, in some type of conversations with the Bucks. Like what other angle are they going to go at this?
Like point, I believe he's going to be the head coach.
Yeah, and like you have to ask yourself, how does this guy just continue to get these opportunities, man? Like how? Like the Bucks. Like of course the Bucks, they have the second best record in the East right now. So then he comes in, takes over the team with the second best record of the East and keeps them there. And he gets credit for that, right? Like, I don't know, man. I just can't with the Doc Rivers stuff. I saw like an interview with him and Bill Simmons, and he was like, there was a list of things that he said about the Bucks on the Bill Simmons show.
Yeah.
And every single talking point that he had was based around Giannis or Dame or Giannis and Dame. And it literally, I can't remember who retweeted it and said it, but They said just take out Giannis's name and just insert Embiid's. Take out Dame's name and just insert Harden, and you have the Sixers offense from the last 2 years, right? Like the last year and the year before with Harden and Embiid, and he just does not have any answers. You can just already see it in what he's saying as far as what he's going to do with the team. It's all based around Giannis and Dame. I don't understand how he can keep getting opportunity after opportunity when you see what these teams turn into under him, man. They always flounder out. But what I will say, it is an advantage to have Doc Rivers in Milwaukee. That would give me confidence.
Right. It would be an advantage for us.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It would give me confidence going into Milwaukee to take on Doc Rivers with Nick Nurse as my head coach.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree with you, man.
I don't know how he keeps getting these jobs, man.
I think one of the funniest things, excuse me, about all of this is like, man, Giannis comes off and people think he's like, well, I have no idea, but he comes off as this like genuinely nice sweetheart of a man, but this dude seems like a dick.
Yeah.
I mean, let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Because from all the reports and rumors and from if it has to do with winning, and this came from inside. This came from the players not agreeing with their head coach. And that's basically the reason Adrian Griffin is gone. And I don't think anything's happening without the say-so of their number one player, of their MVP. Okay?
Yeah.
And so for that, like, bro, you're this 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. You're atop of all these categories offensively across the NBA to start the year. You're 30 and what, 13 or whatever they are. And you went out of your way and got a man fired. Like, you didn't even wait to see what this dude could do in the postseason. Now, again, there might be good reason. The disconnect between player and him, his philosophy, and what everybody else in the locker room wanted to do. But that is absolutely insane to me that the players got a head coach fired 43 games into his tenure when they're winning at a high clip. And then your answer is to a Glenn Rivers hire? I can't wait to watch this team fall, just crumble from the inside out, man, because that's what you're about to do. I saw a tweet. I'll welcome him on over. Adrian Griffin, a disciple of Nick Nurse. Bring him on over. Bring him on as an assistant, a consultant. Put him on the bench. He's got inside info over there. Bring him on in.
No, I agree, man. You said it at the beginning of that spiel there. Giannis is a dick, and that is what he is, man. He's arrogant. The way he talks and like the whole, like even like just the little things, like the getting freaky and I don't understand the dude. I don't know if it's because he's from Greece or what, but I do not vibe, and I think it turns me off more to him the way he is perceived, the way his image is floated around as like this good dude, right? Like this good guy, good sportsman, good sportsmanship, right? But yet Embiid gets labeled as like a foul merchant and like all of these negative derogatory things, but Giannis actually averages more free throws.
Right, you got the ladder incident in Philly. You got the ladder incident versus Indiana.
Yeah,
you know, it is funny, man. And then this was the icing on top last year when he essentially compared himself to Michael Jordan. And listen, I understood the analogy he was trying to make. Just because you lose one season doesn't mean it's a failure. He does have the ring now. Dog, Michael Jordan has 6 rings. Michael Jordan has 6 NBA Finals appearances and 0 losses. You have 1. Michael Jordan, he lost in the first round early on in his career to the Larry Birds of the world. Michael Jordan, was Milwaukee the 1 seed last year or the 2 seed? Whatever they were last year. He did not lose as a top 2 seed with home court and get swept by a Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler-led Miami Heat team with a bunch of undrafted free agents on their squad.
Like Marshawn said, can you imagine if Can you imagine if Embiid said this after a
Right.
postseason crumble? It wasn't a failure losing to the Celtics. Like,
Oh my god. I mean, remember he asked
yeah,
like the reporter, he's like, "What?" He goes, if you don't get promotion, uh, every year, is it where are you a failure at your job? You talk. It's not about getting a promotion, dickbag.
that's entitlement.
You
That's
got
what he is. He's
swept in
entitled.
the first round with home court against Max Strus and Gabe Vincent and Duncan Robinson. What are you talking about? Yes, your season was a failure. No one said your career's a failure. No one said you personally are a failure. The Milwaukee Bucks season ended in failure. Just like Scotty, the Philadelphia Eagles season ended in failure. Just like the Philadelphia Phillies seasons ended in failure. Bryce Harper is not a failure. His career is not a failure, but their season ended in failure. And this dude decided to snap back at a reporter answering a question. And it makes no sense. Yeah, man, he's the fan vote. He's team captain all the time because people love him in the league. It's so I can't stand
Yeah,
him.
yeah. He's a top 3 player I cannot stand, honestly. And part of it is like the positive image that he's able to maintain. I don't know if it's just because like Milwaukee's like a small city, you know what I mean? Like that
First
small
of all,
city, small market thing.
do you want to know why Adrian Griffin got fired from the inside out? Probably because he wanted to open up a roster space from Thanasis Antetokounmpo. Somehow.
Yeah, man, that speaks to the entitlement in itself. Once again, man, like the fact that you were able to like run this team to the point where your brother is able to stay on an NBA roster. Like this dude is not built for an NBA roster. You can't tell me that you can't bring in some rookie, some guy from the G League that is
Scotty, the
able to
way
contribute
former
more than
players talk about him publicly,
Like,
he's not even built for European ball or
come
overseas
on.
basketball.
Come on, man.
He shouldn't be playing at a professional level anywhere, apparently. I saw dude, I don't know if it was Jeff Teager, who's one of the funniest dudes with a microphone right now, but it was former players on a podcast and they brought it up and they were kind of, mocking Thanasis a bit. And they were saying someone played with him overseas. And they asked him, like, how was he over there? Like, was he any different, with the rule changes? And he was like, bruh, he is the exact same as he is when you see him here. And they all just started geeking and laughing. And it's like, in what world is the Thanasis Antetokounmpo a Milwaukee Buck? Like, come on, man.
I don't get it, brother. I don't. But speaking of Milwaukee, man, our guy Reese, he's headed to the Brewers.
Yeah.
Congrats to him. Obviously, he wasn't coming
night.
back to Philly, but definitely, one of the pillars for me, to the beginning of this era of Phillies baseball. So definitely wanted to give him a little shout here. Give him a little congrats for getting the 17 mil per year, 2 years.
People do make me laugh though, man. Like I'll miss Rhys Hoskins personally. I think the Phillies missed Rhys Hoskins bat in the middle at the top of this lineup in this last postseason run.
It's more for me him than the actual
the person, like, right? Because if you think about
Philly,
it, Rhys Hoskins and Aaron Nola, but obviously Nola you see once every 5 days. Rhys is out there every day. Rhys Hoskins is probably the guy for many, many Phillies fans right now that got them back interested in Phillies baseball.
Yeah.
And brought a little bit of life and future and hope back to the organization because that dude was in the lineup, right? So, and just an all-around great guy and the glue to this clubhouse at times and everything that they built here in Philadelphia is like he's just an awesome, awesome guy.
Yeah.
But I was there for the bat spike against Milwaukee. It's one of the it might be a top 3 moment of my live sporting event experience, right? It was unbelievable. I'll never forget the home runs against the Padres. Did he have 2 in game 5 or whatever he had? Unbelievable, right? But I just laugh at the same people, man, who, if you go back to that World Series run when he was making some mistakes at first base and he's not a great defender, the same people that are all teary-eyed and, are going to miss Rhys Hoskins so badly. We're the ones shouting from rooftops that you're not going to win a World Series with his glove at first base. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the people that are like, Phillies do so, like this. Reese is not answering any of the Phillies questions right now. Like that's not the move to bring Reese
That's
back.
the disappointing thing. Where are you going to put him?
Yeah,
right? The only option you theoretically had was to platoon him and Bryce back and forth between DH and first base, altering however you wanted to do it. That means putting Kyle Schwarber back into left field on a permanent basis. That means taking out whoever, whether you sign someone to play that corner position, whether it's Johan Rojas and Brandon Marsh that are going to field those two positions together, whatever the case may be, that would have meant putting Kyle's glove and body back out in left field at this age, right? At this point of his career. And I don't think anybody wants that. And Bryce already in limited action he's way more athletic, obviously. I think he's just gifted like that, right? That he's going to pick up on this position so much more quickly.
I think that, it reached a point now where Bryce has kind of taken over that spot, even as the leader in the clubhouse, right? Like, obviously he's been the leader since he's gotten here, but just being that pillar of the beginning of this era, Harper's the beginning of the era now, right? Like, that's where you get that remembrance from.
It's a new era, right?
So it's kind of a passing of the torch in a sense, even though we didn't have Reese most of the season last year. Just definitely congrats, well-deserved. He deserves to go and play somewhere else and get his opportunities back after the injury. And we'll see what the Phillies do now. Obviously, I don't think he was in the plans regardless.
No, and you have a Milwaukee Brewers organization who has made the playoffs, has been right there right now. Whatever they decide to do with their starting rotation and a couple of those guys in Woodruff and Corbin Burns is TBD still, but you have a team that is a playoff caliber team.
Yeah.
I think a leader with experience and that bat that Rhys Hoskins has will fit in just fine in Milwaukee. So I think it's a good fit for those two for him and for player and team. But from a Phillies perspective, man, it has been a very quiet offseason. Now, I do see daily Phillies fans, tweeting about Dombrowski and tweeting, when's he going to get anything done? And the only thing I can kind of give you is that not much is happening. Not much has been happening. There's one team that continues to make moves.
Yeah, the Dodgers.
It's a team that has spent $1 trillion this offseason, but somehow only pays like $2 million of it. And that is the Dodgers. They just worked out a deal with James Paxton yesterday, I believe. They continue to make moves, but no one else is.
Like
so
baseball,
it's not like Dombrowski is just sitting on his hands while, all these other teams, the Mets of the world, the Braves of the world just continue to stockpile talent and we're not doing anything. There's still, no one has gone out and gotten Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery or any of these guys.
Did the Dodgers, they signed Yamamoto too, right? Or no? Am I tripping there? I know.
Why am I drawing a blank where he signed?
I know they got Ohtani. They got Yamamoto as well, right? Because otherwise, I feel like I would have been pissed that the Phillies didn't get Yamamoto if it wasn't the Dodgers, where it was just like, oh, of course.
Yeah. He's with the Dodgers.
Okay, yeah, I figured.
Yeah, no, that you brought that up, and I'm like, where did he go? Because I'm like, I got blanked by Ohtani for a second, but dude, they went out Yamamoto and Ohtani in one off season. Tyler Glasnow got traded and extended there somehow.
What the fuck?
Why am I drawing a blank? Was it Teoscar Hernandez they went out and got in left field as well? I'm drawing a blank on the one name. Hold on. Teoscar Hernandez. Yep. So he's that power bat is in LA now as well. They've gotten everybody this offseason, man. And you could fear them, and I think rightfully so. When you talk about a team that is going to win 100 games without any of these guys on their roster, and now you add all of them, I mean, for fuck's sake, I don't know what you're going to do in the regular, but they have nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
Yet, right? Like when they went out, they have a COVID championship. That's what they have. And outside of that, they don't even have a World Series appearance. Hell, they haven't had a NLCS appearance in a couple of years. So to be completely fair, like this juggernaut of an organization, of a team, has not much to show for all the money they spent. But this a little different.
Is Ohtani? He's not going to be able to pitch from the start of the season, right? He has to take off. Is that this season that he has to take off, or am I
believe so?
behind?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Tommy John surgery. Still, I mean, oh man. Now I'm seeing a report. I guess this isn't news, but Buccaneers Mike Evans set to hit free agency. Looks like the Bears are the favorites to land him. Expected to offer big money for Mike Evans. Interesting. But I wanted to ask you, obviously, not only do we have the rumor or confirmed report, we got Sirianni and Howie addressing the media today. That Brian Johnson,
oh boy,
is he really fired? I don't know. And then Cliff Kingsbury. Is that what are you in on this? Like, how do you feel? I'm not. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and make like judgment on Cliff Kingsbury. Like, I know his scheme and what he does, but from what I've seen reported and the different people that I trust, it seems like it would be a lot of the same shit that Sirianni does, man, and that worries me.
I don't know. I'm with you. I'm not like so against the idea.
Yeah. I'm willing to give him a shot if it happens. I'll give him a shot to just wait and see.
I did see.
I'm not gonna crucify
I believe it was Shane Haff is not on board with Cliff Kingsbury at all. Talked about how he had no success with Patrick Mahomes and the way he runs, his I don't know. I don't because I'm just not that guy, right? I am not a major X's and O's and ski. Like I'm not going to sit here and watch all 22 tape and tell you how he loves to run his offense a certain way and etc. The thing I could just say, man, like we went into a season with Sean Desai and Brian Johnson as our coordinators, neither with any experience, and we thought that we were good with it, right? Yeah. So I'm not going to sit here really and tear anybody to shreds because I just don't know how it's going to turn out. The only thing I could say, can it possibly be worse? Can it possibly be more boring and more predictable? And, I don't know.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree, man. It's hard for me to say on that, but let me ask you this. What are you looking for in this Sirianni presser today? What questions are you looking for answers to today, man?
It's tough, right? Because part of you wants to just hear accountability. Part of you wants him because we're throwing Brian Johnson under this bus.
Yeah.
But he has acknowledged it's his offense. He has acknowledged he steps in and takes over play calling at times. He has acknowledged X, Y, and Z. So why is it fair to bury Brian Johnson over it all?
A guy who's still getting interviews with other teams.
At this point in time, now that the season's over, that accountability means nothing to me because accountability isn't just what you say.
Yeah.
It's how you respond and fix the situation. You had 8 weeks to right your wrongs, to fix the problem, and you didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't change anything.
Yeah.
So what accountability am I really expecting to hear from Nick Sirianni today that's not going to even enrage me more to want him fired? You know what I mean? So I don't know what to hear from Nick today. Honestly, man, I don't know how this goes well. I really don't. I don't know how there's not going to be something he says that rubs people the wrong way or makes us scratch his head as to why he has his job back. Like, dog, you literally tried to tell us tackling is hard after a postseason loss. You changed nothing from the New York Giants to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So what are you going to tell me? You take full responsibility. It was your offense. You got to get things right. Again, you had 7 or 8 weeks to tweak and change and adjust. You didn't. So tell
Yeah.
me why, Nick. Tell me why you deserve that's it. There it is. Tell me why you deserve to be our head coach still. There it is.
Yeah. I think for me, man, I honestly, it's not really the accountability. I just want to know what happened. Like, did you guys not practice in pads enough? Like, did you not practice the fundamentals enough? Like, what are you going to do differently next year? What is it? How are you going to approach this team differently so that we know that the same crumble down performance isn't going to happen again late in the season? If you get off to a hot start, how do we know that that's not going to happen again? That you have control of this team, and that's the type of stuff I'm looking for. Along with that, I'm interested to hear what he says about not Gannon, Desai and Brian Johnson. I'm interested to hear how he talks about them, how the dialogue is phrased around those two guys. Because if he throws those guys under the bus, in my opinion, that makes him look a lot worse, honestly, to like throw those guys under the bus as if it's all their fault. You're here to stay. You'll get it fixed with other people. That's not the type of stuff I want to see. So maybe that is accountability that I'm asking for from his part. Aside from that, Howie, I'm looking for the way Howie is interacting with Nick Sirianni, because we saw Howie hug Jalen Hurts after that game, that loss. We did not see Sirianni and Howie interact after that loss.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see where their relationship's at as well. If Howie is in full
I'm so
support.
fed up with, man, and I've come to realize over the course of even last year, the way that Nick, and rightfully so, he's not going to come out and just lay out exactly what was wrong with Jalen when he was injured. But you just remember how Nick said, basically he's okay. And then like an hour after his press conference, Jalen was out for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've come to the realization you're not going to get anything. I don't think you're going to get much. I don't think you're not going to get any clarity, any openness to this conversation. And that, maybe that's just how all professional teams seem to be run. But when I listen to a guy like Nick Nurse talk, it makes things clear. I listen to Rob Thompson and Dave Dombrowski speak in the offseason and talk about the clear needs this team needs. And, it's not meant to be a shot at former players that played that position or new free agents that we're not bringing back, but it essentially tells you what they believe was the problem, right? Like if they say we need a corner outfielder, that means they weren't good enough at corner outfield. That player that was in that spot wasn't good enough. There's a realization there. There's clarity to fix the problem. I don't think you're going to get that with this team, with these two guys.
How would you feel if he came out and said Jalen just wasn't good enough in my offense this year?
Listen, part of you...
Jalen was switching my plays at the line, goddammit.
part of you would know that he's delusional. But I would also just probably laugh and be like, oh, wow. I was like, what?
Oh, my God.
Like, wow, some truth or something. You know what I mean? At least his truth, right? It might not be the truth, but it might be what he actually believes. And that's something.
He's giving us something, man.
Something to throw out there. No. Yeah. That
is there, I know we really haven't touched on Howie much. How confident are you in Howie to get this thing right? Like you and Fraud just said, the Eagles keeping Nick Sirianni. It does make you wonder, how much control this man Howie has.
Yeah, that's kind of been what some people thought from day one, that he's a yes man, right? But I think Howie and Nick Sirianni are in very similar boats because I think they both need to get out of their own way. I think they both need to adjust and fix mistakes that continue to haunt them. Like I see Marshawn Lynch's point, and I do agree. I'm way more confident in Howie Roseman than I am in Nick Sirianni.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
But at the same time, if Howie Roseman continues to throw money at positions that are already more stockpiled than we have at other areas, if he throws money at guys that he knows the head coach aren't going to use, right, aren't going to utilize, if he continues to undervalue the safety and linebacker position and not adjust at corner with age,
Yeah.
why should I be confident?
He needs
The contracts, the money, the trades,
Yeah.
everything. Howie Roseman is a genius. He's the best in the world in that department. But in terms of building a roster, we were blinded. We saw the talent. We thought that Bradbury and Slay were the answers. We loved the Buyer trade. We loved everything he did, but it didn't work. And that ain't my job to know. That ain't my job to build this team.
Yeah.
That's your job. So while, I was on board at the time. I was on board when they brought back Bradbury and Slay and thought it would work. It didn't.
Went to a Super Bowl with them.
Now you got to pivot. Now you got to fix this team. You don't value linebackers. Nakobe Dean, Zach Cunningham, Nicholas Morrow. No. Don't cut it. So I need Howie Roseman to adjust this offseason.
Yeah.
I think that's the word for me this offseason.
This is what I want, man. I honestly want this. I want them, maybe not trade, but maybe it's sign them in free agency, whatever you got to do, but get your in-house leader on the defense. Appreciate you tuning in, You a Fraud. Check us out every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, man, right here in the morning. We'll be here. But, I want to see them established, kind of like what the Ravens did with Roquan Smith, right? They traded for him from Chicago. He comes in now. He's that dog. He's that leader in their locker room, and that's what the Eagles need. Whether it's a safety or a linebacker, they need somebody at that level that can lead. Let's do a little
something, okay? Here, let's look at the remaining 4 teams and see what they have in common, Scotty. The San Francisco 49ers. They have who at linebacker?
Oh, Fred Warner, and then Dre Greenlaw.
Right.
Dre Greenlaw would be a leader on our defense, right? Like he would be the best linebacker on our defense.
The Baltimore Ravens have who at linebacker and safety?
Roquan, Patrick Queen, and
Kyle Hamilton. They signed Marcus Williams this offseason, even though he got a little hurt, right? Yeah. They already had Marlon Humphrey over there at corner.
Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah, go out, get him, right? They're tough. The Detroit Lions signed CGJ.
Yeah.
Drafted Brian Branch.
Yeah.
Kind of tough at safety, right?
Even their linebackers, right? They drafted Jack Campbell. They got Alex Anzalone, who's back there making plays for them with the blonde, stringy hair, dog. Like, who's the other team we're missing here? Is it the Chiefs? Oh, the Chiefs. We know.
I mean, that's just.
Yeah,
you have the greatest.
Jarius Sneed, lockdown corner. Nick Bolton, monster linebacker. Right. I mean, Chris Jones on the defensive line. We know what he's about. Yeah,
right. You just have the greatest quarterback in the world.
They all have leaders. They have leaders on their defense, and that's what we're missing. I think maybe Howie fell for like Darius Slay as a leader. Like he got captain somehow of this team. You know what I mean? That kind of speaks
but
to
again,
the lack
man,
of leadership.
Again, it does. This is why this season, when it comes to answering questions, was so difficult because I have no idea, Scotty. Are Slay and Bradbury as washed as we think?
Right. Or is it the scheme?
Well, obviously Bradbury more so than Slay, duh. But have they taken steps back the way that we think, or is it scheme? Because there is no shot. Oh, yeah, we could talk about CJ Gardner-Johnson and Anzalone and Brian Branch and Aiden Hutchinson. They got guys. This Lions defense was supposed to be bad, man. Yeah. They don't have the talent. Let's put it on paper. Yeah, linebacker, sure. Do they have the talent? The Philadelphia Eagles, Kevin Byard, everything in the defensive line. Do they have the talent across the board that the Philadelphia Eagles had? No.
You would think not. No.
So this is where it was. So
Aiden Hutchinson shows up in the biggest part of the season where you have Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick disappear, right? Like. Yep. You're right. It's more about guys stepping up or not stepping up than it is about talent almost. Like Kevin Byard just wasn't, whether he was not put in the right position or he's just not able to, he did not make positive plays for this defense. He didn't make an impact. And that's the real problem. Like I think Aiden Hutchinson it was something crazy. Like he had like 8 or 10 sacks over his last 4 games or some shit. It's like, that's taking over, right? In the biggest part of the season. They're in the playoffs right now. They're in the NFC Championship. And, maybe Jalen Carter can take that step next year, right? Like, you need him to. You need him to take that step. Jordan Davis. Like, we've invested early in the defense, too, just like the Chiefs, right? Like, we got Nolan Smith. We got Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, all in the first round. These guys gotta answer the call next year, but also we need to make some upgrades too. That's obvious, right? But
Yep.
I think the biggest thing is bringing in a leader. I think a guy like Buda Baker could fill that role. I think Patrick Queen could bring some of that Baltimore nastiness over and fill that role. There's a ton of options that they could go about. Antoine Winfield Jr. from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the safety. Another guy come over from that Todd Bowles defense and give us some life, man. Like give us an ounce of like physicality because that's what the Eagles look like down the stretch, man. They look soft as fuck. And I just I can't stand to watch that shit. Like honestly, I can't stand to watch it.
To bring the show full circle as we wrap up here.
Yeah.
This is why Joel Embiid is so important to this city right now. To bring this level of excitement and joy back into my life just at the moment that the Eagles rip it out and the Phillies rip it out. It's so important, man, because that Nuggets, right? That Nuggets game came at the perfect time. It was the night after the Eagles lost or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you have this, right? After as these rumors are starting to spread and everything. It's like you needed it. And it's time to reinvest all my time and energy and money back into Joel Embiid and the Sixers team. And
I agree.
See where they end up taking us, man. You got the Flyers who are on a 3-game skid and struggling at the moment. Just as I started to watch over the weekend. So
I watched a little bit last night too. I got to catch the end and watch.
Yeah, I guess I'll give them some space, right? Give them some space.
Give them some time to come back around.
Give them a week or so to come back around for themselves.
Oh, and I'm not going to speak on it too much. I don't know the logistics or too much information. Carter Hart, the indefinite leave.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God, this team now. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to talk on that too much. I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. I don't think many people even do know what's going on. But
a lot of speculation.
You had there's apparently another kid or player that's Canadian that there's this whole I don't know if it's conspiracy theory or whatever's floating around there on Twitter that it's something to do with the Canadian whatever. You get my point. The Canadian
I got you.
This was hilarious, man. And see, this is why people just need to shut their mouths when talking about Joel Embiid and his free throws in his 70-point game and doing it against the Spurs. Dog, Cat scored 62. He had 43, 45 at halftime. Cat scored 62. Incredible. He played the Hornets. At home, correct? Was this in Minnesota or am I tripping?
Let me see. That was on Monday.
I could be tripping. No, it was last night.
Monday. It was in Minnesota.
Right.
Yeah.
So 62 at home to the Charlotte Hornets. Sixers at home to the San Antonio Spurs. One dude did it in a win, and one dude did it in a ugly loss and got benched and had his coach rip into him and all of his teammates for the way that they played down the stretch. Basically the whole game, he said. So, look, you can talk about who he did it against and continue to move the field goal post, but at the end of the day, Joel Embiid just continues to do things differently than everybody else, Scotty.
Yeah. Got to match up with the well, before I move to that, but no, you're spot on. It was good to have that example of Cat losing in Minnesota while scoring that to just show how good Embiid really looks against the Spurs there. And got to match up with the Pacers is what I was gonna say. Doesn't look like Tyrese Halliburton will be available for that on Thursday, but they did get Pascal Siakam, so they got a new piece there, a new toy to play with in Indiana, and they actually travel to Indiana on Thursday.
Yeah.
So that'll be a fun,
I believe this starts. I believe this starts their road trip. No, are we not there yet?
Pacers, Nuggets, Trailblazers, Warriors. How many do we got in a row? Jazz, and then back home for the Nets.
Nice.
on February 3rd. So what, 5 games in a row on the road?
Yeah, no big deal. After we
Go
just played
dominate.
2 before this one home game, so yeah, that 7 of 8 on the road. That's cool. It's
Let's
fair.
just go dominate, man. More challenges. I think that's the fun thing about this season is that this team is built for the challenges, and I want to see them in these moments, right? Go on the road and take on the Pacers, and then take on the Nuggets on Saturday, and then go to a back-to-back against the Trailblazers and Warriors on Monday and Tuesday, right? So
Another
how many
back-to-back.
games is that? 4 games in what? So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So what, like 6, 7 days, 4 games?
Yeah, 4 games in a week. That's cool.
Yeah.
Because that happens all the time.
It'll be interesting to see how many if Embiid plays in that back-to-back, man.
Yeah.
If he plays in Denver, that's gonna be a big one, right? Like I'm not one of those guys that like is gonna criticize him, but I am interested. I'm interested to see
how many games
not
does he have left before he's not eligible? 9 or something? 8 or 9?
I actually had this written down yesterday when I was on Trending in the AM. He would have to play in 34 of the 40 remaining games, so he could only miss 6.
He can only miss 6
to hit 65. He's played 31 of 42 games so far.
Because I was going to say, if he can get through the rest of January, which I know is tough with this upcoming stretch, but if he can get through the rest of January without missing a game, you got what, a slightly over 2 months of basketball left to miss 6 games, misses 3 a month.
Yeah.
I don't, maybe it's not crazy. Obviously, that's not where the focus is. I'm just saying, like, that it is going to bother me a little bit. Like, I know what the more important goal is by a mile. But for this dude to have the season he's having, to not be recognized for it, after being snubbed for all of those close years, it would be like, that's a little ridiculous. Especially if he misses by like a game or 2. Like if he has an extended injury and he misses like 12 more games, I can understand, right? If he only plays like 57 games this season.
I think, go ahead. My bad. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
But if he needs 65 but misses 63 or plays in 63, that's going to be ridiculous.
I think the Denver game on Saturday would really be telling. Like if he plays in Denver, it would obviously deactivate those takes that he is dodging Denver and playing in that altitude. And I think, if you have the prospects of winning a championship ultimately in this league, if I had to put my money on who I think we would be meeting if we were able to get out of the Eastern Conference, I would put my money on Denver to meet us there. And so from that perspective, it's like you do need to get used to playing in Denver in that altitude if you're Joel Embiid and this entire team. It is a difference in the breathing, especially if you deal with any type of asthma like myself. So it can kill you out there. And I think it would be good for him to get some run in there. But more what I'm speaking to is that it would speak to the fact that Joel is like fully healthy right now. Doesn't have any nicks or, anything that's bothering him. So that would be very telling if he does play there on Saturday. But I meant to say that to you, man. I know we're over an hour now. Maybe this is going to be the last thing. But how great would it be to see Jokic and Embiid play in the NBA Finals? Like, how great of a 7-game series between Denver and Philly would that be, man? Like, that is what – I don't know if maybe other people don't feel that way because they hate Embiid so much outside of Philadelphia, but that just feels like what the basketball world needs. A matchup of 2 centers like that.
That are going to say, no, I don't feel like watching a fail merchant in the NBA Finals would be ecstatic if the Milwaukee Bucks and Giannis Antetokounmpo were in the NBA Finals. Like, just shut the fuck up. Honestly, like, you just know nothing at this point. You know nothing. Because if you knew something, you know that Giannis has shot almost 100 more free throws this season than Joel Embiid has, but Embiid has somehow made more free throws than Giannis has. That's the only reason you don't like it. We obviously talk about this all the time because of how annoying people are, but it would be an incredible NBA Finals, man. Not only would you have the 2 best centers in the world, possibly the 2 best players in the world, going on like 4 straight years of battling each other for MVP, squaring off. You watched that game in Philadelphia the other night, man. that was just playoff basketball from start to finish. Now I know the scoring in the first half maybe
it was a little crazy,
exceeded what would happen in playoff atmosphere, right? Things slow down, defense intensity picks up, everything like that. However, that back and forth, man, that was maybe the greatest NBA game of the regular season so far. Honestly, the shot making from both teams, Jamal Murray and Maxey battling, Tobias hitting threes, Michael Porter Jr. hitting threes, offensive rebounds, putbacks for dunk. It was an all-around incredible basketball game with those two.
It's the perfect matchup. You know, you got glue guys like Aaron Gordon, like the top tier glue guys, like an Aaron Gordon, and then Nicholas Batum. I know he doesn't put up the numbers of an Aaron Gordon, but his impact on the game is there each and every night, man. Just making the right plays. So it would be interesting to see them go at it. Obviously, the Nuggets coming off their championship, and it's a chance for Embiid to claim that spot too. That's the other obvious.
You know, the other one, and I know we're getting way ahead of ourselves here talking about finals opponents, right? But the other one now that people are talking about, obviously because of the trade, would be the Clippers, who we haven't faced off against yet. We have 2 matchups against them to end the year. But you have the Clippers with Harden, and it would be story-wise incredible. It would be
unreal,
WWE-esque. Pinnacle, reach the mountaintop storytelling, right?
I would love to see that, man. How would that
I have a question though. I don't like the matchup.
I agree. Yeah, I do agree.
I think that is a clunky matchup for basketball and the 76ers. I mean, you were talking about just long, lengthy, strong individuals in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, Russell Westbrook coming off the bench, James Harden. The centers don't match up, right? Like we have Embiid, Zubac, Mason Plumlee, if he's held, so the Sixers would obviously have the advantage there. It takes away from that matchup as well.
I will say, we've never had the amount of wings that we would have to guard guys like PG and Kawhi Leonard. I'm not saying that I would look forward to it, but we have never had a Kelly Oubre, Rocco, and Nicholas Batum available and able to guard these lengthy wings. So it would be one upgrade that we've had from previous years.
Now, to be fair,
I do agree. It would be it's not a matchup that I love.
You're not going to get to that opponent unless you got past the Boston Celtics, most likely. And the Boston Celtics are what? A tall, long, physical wing. Even their point guard, Drew Holiday, Derek White, are both 6'4", 6'5", 6'6" in that area. Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis, Al Horford. They're long, right?
Yeah, so that is true.
You're going to have the task ahead of time regardless in a great team. So
that's a good point. That's a good point. But yeah, the Clippers, man, they're interesting. They're playing some really good ball. I just think, I guess maybe they would put like Paul George on Maxey, because I was thinking like, what is Harden going to try to guard this? Like, no way they would do that, right? It's interesting. We don't have to go that far just yet. I'm daydreaming.
Well, when we get to that matchup in the regular season, I guess we're going to find out.
Will be fun. I think we play them for the first time in February.
Interesting.
So looking forward to that, man.
All right.
No less.
It might be post deadline as well.
Let me just check really quick. This can be the last check of the show. February. Let's see. Clippers. Maybe we don't play them in February. No, we don't. March. So it is
really.
It is going to be past the deadline. We play in both of the games against the Clippers are in March. The first one's March 24th in LA, and then March 27th.
They're within 3 days of each other.
Yeah.
Why, bro? Why do we always play this team at 3:00 on a Sunday in March? I know for a fact that we do. I remember vividly. Do you remember the Shake Milton games against the Lakers and then the Clippers over 1 week? It is the Clippers on a Sunday afternoon.
Must be an LA thing. Yeah. Because I guess
it's a Paul George thing too, because I remember playing Oklahoma City when Paul George and Russell Westbrook were there on a Sunday afternoon when Jimmy Butler was a Sixer. Like it's a Paul George or Clipper thing that they line it up this way.
No doubt. That's something to look forward to, though. Not until March, so we don't got to
Yeah,
worry about
and we'll
that.
know exactly what the Sixers roster and rotation is looking like at that point. So that'll be
Absolutely.
a fun little test and task at that point in time, man. But that is going to wrap up this hour and 20-minute Wednesday edition of the Phaithful Fanatics Show, guys. If you are new to the channel, if you like the content, if you want to be interactive with us, make sure to head on over to this YouTube channel where we're streaming exclusively, and make sure to hit that subscribe button. It is the best spot to be involved with us, better than Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Facebook, any of those outlets now. So yeah, help support, help us get us to our first 100 subscribers here on the new channel. For myself, for Scotty, for DSM, go Sixers, and have a great rest of your day.
Have a great day, everybody. Go